Coming up tonight, Montana law enforcement continued to search for a woman who has local ties to the Red River Valley. And someone crashed into a Grand Forks convenience store this morning. Plus, the founder of a local organization reflects on the inspiration Betty White had on her and her humanitarian work right here in the Valley. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening. New tonight at 10. The search is on in Sidney, Montana for a missing woman who was last seen on December 21st. And she happens to be the daughter of Grand Forks County Assistant State's Attorney Carmel Madison. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling spoke with the missing woman's father, who says he last saw her days before Christmas.
I don't know what's keeping us together. Just still hoping and praying that she's okay.
26-year-old Caitlin Berry has been seen for about 2 weeks, and in Richland County, Montana, the search for the missing woman with ties to Grand Forks is underway. Berry is the daughter of Carmel Madison, the assistant state's attorney in Grand Forks. The young woman was last seen at her home in Sidney by her dad, Hank Berry, on December 21st.
She'd asked me to pick her up a vape and some McDonald's, so after work on that Tuesday, I dropped that off and visited with her for a bit.
Berry says on numerous occasions he tried calling his daughter, but there was no answer. On December 29th, police say they found her phone in her house. Caitlin is 5'4", with a slender build, green eyes, and dark brown shoulder-length hair. Law enforcement is currently checking video surveillance of the gas station nearby that Caitlin would frequent.
And, now we're just in the process of trying to find out what happened to her, where she went, or where she's at.
And once Caitlin is found, Berry says this is the first thing he would do.
And can't wait to give her a big hug,
In Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Anyone with information is asked to call the Richland County Sheriff's Office in Montana at the number 406-433-2919. And today we got a chance to climb above those negative temperatures. Nathan Hopper is here now with a first look at the forecast. Nathan, can we get any warmer?
Yeah, thanks, Nishay. I got good news for everybody. Yes, warmer air is on the way for tomorrow. Still a bit on the brisk side out there tonight, but looking at our Dakota Magic Casino Skycam, that wind is blowing up from the south. So that's good news. The temperatures with that south wind will either stay steady tonight or even rise as we go through the overnight with some warmer air moving in from the south. Look at how warm we got today. 3 degrees that temperature. The high temperature today in Fargo. We did see some areas up toward the north that stayed in those sub-zero temperatures, but look at the big winners there. Jamestown 13 degrees, Carrington 16 degrees that high there. And Sisseton, I need to point out, that's a known issue with their thermometers. Not 45 degrees in Sisseton today, but it was warmer off toward the south. Now here's how those temperatures look right now. You can see still single digits above zero south. A few spots hanging on sub-zero. That black line is the 0 degree line. So yes, Nishay, south wind tonight help things stay not as cold and also warm us up. But I'm also watching another chance of some snowfall for this week. I'll break down the details in a few minutes.
Yeah, that warm up tomorrow will be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, thanks so much. This morning, a vehicle slammed into the Loaf and Jug convenience store on Gateway Drive in Grand Forks. Police say a 23-year-old man was trying to pull into a parking space but failed to stop in time, causing the SUV to crash right into the building. There was significant damage to the building, and authorities say the driver of the SUV was not hurt, but an employee who was inside at the time suffered minor injuries from flying debris. The worker received medical treatment while on the scene, and the driver was cited for his involvement in the crash. One Grand Forks mom is speaking out after her son was accused of having a gun on school grounds at the end of November. Valley News Team's Alex Larson talked with her about why she doesn't feel the situation was handled correctly.
Guns don't kill people. People do.
Robin Clothier was called into Red River High School to talk to administration about students accusing her son of bringing a gun into class.
I didn't think that he would have a gun at school. I didn't think he would have one at all, but yeah, I did check. I told them do whatever they needed to do.
Students said
there were a few kids that came up, made a comment that they had either heard or seen Aaron have a gun in his backpack.
But school officials did not find a gun. And Robin says her son's backpack was not checked until she got there. Also, to her surprise, there was no lockdown.
You approached him in after class while he was outside, you know, with all the other students that are walking around in common areas and stuff like that. Just the danger, the possibilities of things that can go wrong with stuff like that.
The school district says there was no lockdown because he was immediately found.
It probably would have made me feel a little safer had I known that maybe there was a lockdown. Would I have felt stupid that it was my child that got accused of it? Absolutely. But that would have kept everybody safe.
Parents of the students who accused her son were notified, but not any other parents. Clothier says the way everything was handled does not sit right with her.
Little boy who cried wolf. What happens the next time something like that happens? You know, they were pretty laid back and said, well, we know he wouldn't, you know, we didn't think he'd have a gun or anything, but what if?
She says she's a gun owner and keeps it in a locked safe because she understands their potential danger. Her brother was shot and killed when she was a kid.
He was 120 pounds soaking wet, and he was not scary. He wanted to cook. He wanted to be somebody. He would have been a good uncle.
Clothier says the district should handle everything gun-related with the same urgency to keep everyone safe.
Something's going to happen one day, and it probably would have been able to be prevented.
Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
President Joe Biden cannot require teachers in the Head Start early education program to be vaccinated against COVID-19. A Louisiana federal judge ruled on the matter yesterday, handing a victory to 24 states that sued the federal government. The U.S. district judge wrote that the Biden administration unlawfully bypassed Congress when ordering that workers in Head Start programs be vaccinated by January 31st. Head Start is a federally funded program that promotes education for children under the age of 6 who are from low-income families. While there's evidence that the Omicron variant is a milder form of COVID, it could be especially problematic for certain children. Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb explains how the variant could be a bigger challenge for young kids because of the way it binds to the airway cells.
The one group that may be a problem for is very young children, toddlers, who have trouble with upper airway infections. And you're in fact seeing more croup-like infections and bronchiolitis in New York City among children. So that could be a challenge for young kids.
Some school districts are returning to virtual classes in response to the new surge, and doctors across the country say most people hospitalized for COVID-19 are unvaccinated. Now, health experts think the U.S. may start seeing Omicron case numbers peak by next month, and new isolation guidance from the CDC could be amended. Tom Hansen reports.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says after some pushback, the CDC is considering revising its new 5-day COVID isolation guidance for patients who aren't showing symptoms.
I believe that the CDC soon will be coming out with more clarification of that, since it obviously has generated a number of questions about at that 5-day period, should you or should you not be testing people.
New cases are averaging over 350,000 a day, fueled largely by the highly contagious Omicron variant. Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb predicts Omicron infections will peak in the U.S. in the weeks ahead.
I don't think you're going to start to see a national peak until we get into February, because there's parts of the country that really haven't been hard hit by Omicron yet, and the virus will spread around the country.
Last week, almost 400 children a day were hospitalized for the virus. According to the CDC, that's a 66% jump from the week before.
There's a perception that young children haven't been hit hard to date from coronavirus. That's just not true.
Hospitals are concerned the latest COVID surge could stretch resources to their limits.
Because so many people are infected, even a smaller proportion of a larger number of people getting very sick means that our hospitals are on high alert.
New York State reported more than 85,000 new COVID cases Saturday, another pandemic record.
Twitter has permanently suspended the account of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. The social network company said in a statement that it took action after Greene's repeated violations of their COVID-19 misinformation policy. The company said it uses a strike system and that the Republican representative had received her 5th strike. And in August, Twitter had issued her 4th strike for falsely posting that the vaccines were failing. Today, Greene released a statement saying Twitter is an enemy to America and can't handle the truth. Travel woes continue today for many people going through North Dakota airports. At last check, 2 flights between Hector and the MSP airport this evening have been canceled, and several others were delayed. In Grand Forks, 2 flights this evening were also delayed, and the same trend continued for many flights between Bismarck and Phoenix. The city of Fargo and the Hector International Municipal Airport Authority is expected to sign a new memo of understanding tomorrow. Officials say decisions made by both entities approving the MOA will serve as a resolution of formal negotiations. Last year's memo amended the 50-year-old agreement between the 2 parties, which resolved some issues, but others, including employee compensation, were unresolved. Later on Valley News Live at 10, one local woman shares how Betty White and the sitcom Golden Girls inspired the way she gives back in the FM area.
And thanks to those southwest winds in Fargo, look at temperatures overnight rising a little bit there in those single digits above zero. By the time we get going on Monday, same story for Grand Forks with rising temperatures through the overnight hours tonight. But I am watching our next chance of some snowfall. I'll have details next.